Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello friends, welcome to another recommendation video, and today we have a viewer request, which by the way, as always, I do have recommendation forms down below. You can recommend a specific book or you can recommend a video topic. There are forms for that down below. They've been open for ages and they will always be there for y'all. And this viewer, she had a specific request for some plus size heroines. I mean, she did say fat heroines, but I'm going to touch on that in a second. Not that there's anything wrong with saying fat, just how I'm qualifying the recommendations when I talk about it. We'll get to it. But also in this, and Himani was the name, she did include her name for a shout out there. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your suggestion. I realized I haven't made a video with plus size characters since a year and a half ago. So this was the perfect time because thankfully there has been a lot of different types of what's the word called? Representation for this lately, which is great. I love seeing it more and more. But there was also this qualification of like, please let me know if it has a happily ever after or not. And just for all of y'all, it's always all right to re-explain this. So Himani, I'm speaking directly to you if you're watching this. Here at the Book Refuge, I 99.9% only read romance, and that means that everything has a HEA that I recommend to you. In fact, if it doesn't have a happily ever after, I will put big bold letters, warning lights, sirens, all the things. I don't care to read books that don't have a happily ever after in them. Very rarely. I read a few every year just to say that I have, shall we say. So everything that you see recommended to me, if it has romance by it, it has an HEA. Because to me, and general knowledge, if a book is categorized as a romance, like an actual romance, not a women's fiction that's romantic or whatever, it must have an HEA at the end. Now, of course, there are the possibilities of books being a duology or a trilogy, and so the individual book might not have one. And I would tell you that, though none of the ones I'm recommending today are parts of series where they don't have an HEA within them. So I just want to clear that up. I'm always happy to re-explain that. Romance is my favorite thing to talk about, but here on the Book Refuge, we read romance most of the time. And if it is labeled as a romance, it better have an HEA or else they lied to us. Okay. So just wanted to clear that up. There, again, there's no shame in that. I love, love, love getting to explain the definition of a romance around here. And you can just know, you can be safe. Even if there are books I'm talking about where I don't say this has an HEA, it does, because if it doesn't have an HEA, A, it's very unlikely that I read it, and B, I would absolutely tell you. So I won't say in each book that it has a HEA because they all do. All 10 of the books I'm about to recommend you, we will be safe and sweet by the epilogue, and everything's cozy. So yeah, let us get into these. I'm having a peach Alani today because I felt like a juicy peach here just really spoke to the topic, right? I think all these ladies have some real juicy peaches. One other comment before I do this, again, I have made this video a couple times before. The last time I did it, I had plus size characters in it. So there were also a few men who were plus size, or husky as we call it. So if anyone who's watching, if you're interested in some husky hunks, you can check out this video here. And there is another one in there as well that is, I believe, only plus size females. But the last one I made, which I double checked, it was February of last year, also had some plus size men in it. But this one, I did focus on plus size heroines. Now, to counter back to how in the beginning I said that our requester here was looking for fat heroines. And I will say that I don't know the BMI, let's say, of each of these characters. Some of them, the authors call them curvy, and some of them say plus size, and some of them just say fat. So that'll be up to you. I'm not really going to make a video where I go detailed into the fat level of ladies. I know some people who have, there's people who straight up make ones that are like fat only allowed. But because specifically as women and as culture, we tend to call people fat at all different sizes. We call ourselves fat at all different sizes. I just put curvy plus size fat all in one big thing. And on the covers of some of these books, you'll be able to see what they mean. And the others, you'll just have to infer based on how the author described them. Okay? So now that we have all that out of the way, let us get to these 10 recommendations for you. And of course, I got to start with my most recent 6-star read. Now, this one, I will say this is probably a fit curvy heroine a bit more because she is a yoga instructor, but she is categorized as curvy and plus size in a few places. And I love this book, so I want to recommend it here. We have Wild Card by Elsie Silver. This book is about Gwen and Sebastian, and they actually meet when they are both stuck at an airport for most of the night together. And they have this crazy connection. He's a real grump. She is a ball full of sunshine, and they end up chatting and really having a connection. And then when they have to go separate ways, Sebastian gets her number, only it gets put down wrong. And so they're never able to connect directly after this night. And so it ends up that when they run into each other next, Gwen is actually currently dating Sebastian's son. Now, she wasn't dating him when they met before, of course. But now that she is dating his son, who he has only just found out about, he really doesn't want to step in it and mess anything up. And so it appears that any chance that they had together is not going to happen. Until a few more months later now, she actually moves to his small town, and they both end up helping take care of a friend that they have, a mutual friend. And in fact, they end up living together for a while. So here, see, she does appear curvy. There's some juicy booty and boobies on this girl. So, you know, I think she is plus size, as we would say. So yeah, just delightful in this one. And then it's all about stolen glances and touches and all of that delightful stuff that you get in a forbidden romance going on there. So that one is ex-boyfriend's dad. I met her first. All of those things. We love it. Okay, next up, we of course can't do a plus size heroine list without an S.J. Tilly for sure, because that is her specialty. Here we go. So I would like to bring to your attention Mountain Boss by S.J. Tilly. So Mountain Daddy is the one that's going around everywhere right now because that was the most recent release. But I actually liked Mountain Boss better because, yeah, Mountain Daddy, that also has a plus size heroine, and it is a much older man in that one. But I just didn't love their relationship as much as I liked this one in Mountain Boss, where we have Courtney, who is on the edge of basically like homelessness. She needs a job. Her last roommate like ran away with a lot of her money, and so she ends up getting hired to work at the Black Mountain Lodge. But Sterling, who is her employer, he thought he was hiring a man. And when Courtney rolls up and is ready to move in and work, he is like, no, I cannot have this fine ass as a distraction at my work. So he's going to try a few different things to get her to quit. But very quickly, he's going to end up feeling bad about the lengths that he's going to. So you'll see how that plays out for them. But I really love this couple. There was a lot of things about Courtney that I could relate to, and it wasn't even just her size. It was that, you know, living one paycheck to paycheck. I think we've all been there. There is some great pumping up of Costco that happens in this one, which I love so much. Costco is a girl's best friend sometimes, for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And I mean, S.J. Tilly, her books can be a little bit over the top, and by a little bit, I mean a lot, but they also make me feel very seen and loved at the same time. So that's why I keep coming back to her. I keep coming back to her, even when I'm like, really, are we doing this? Yes, we are. Okay, next up is Hold the Line by Julia Wolf. As you can see, we have a lovely plus size heroine in this one, and this is also one of my 6-star reads this year so far. And this was book 2 in the Kelly Ranch series, okay? And so this one is about Deacon and Phoebe, and Phoebe is the child of Lachlan and Elena Kelly, who I just love. And she actually owns a bakery, and Deacon is her new neighbor. He's an ex-con, and he's moved in, I believe, like in the apartment above hers. And they actually went to school together too, and they kind of had a crush on each other. But Deacon was from the wrong side of the tracks. She was the daughter of a wealthy rancher and business owner. They don't just own a ranch. And he just thought she was so far above him. And then when his family gets involved in some pretty bad things, he ended up taking the fall for something that his brother did and going to prison for quite a long time. And so now he is out and back, and they just have these amazing like sparks between the two of them that they just can't seem to deny, even though Deacon, again, he just thinks that she's so much better than him that he's not even good enough to like lick her feet. He's not quite that dramatic, but he is a very worshipful hero, and he does have a lot of baggage. And Phoebe it's not like her life has been perfect. Of course, no one's is, but she has had things a lot easier in some ways. And so these two coming together, meet and discuss these things and growing to care for one another is just really beautiful. And as always, it isn't Julia Wolf if the hero doesn't absolutely worship, as I said, the ground the heroine walks on. And really, he is the bad boy with haunted eyes that makes her heart skip a beat, as it says. And watching them grow to love one another is just beautiful. And also watching her family accept Deacon in as well. Julia Wolf writes really great found family as well, which I just love. All right, we got more cowboy ones coming at you because I can't help it. And I feel like that is a place where a lot of plus-size heroines show up. Now, this one, neither of them are a cowboy, but it does take place in Montana, and that is the Blackwells of Montana, and we have Where We Bloom. And yes, this is my beautiful special edition of Where We Bloom. This one was, I believe, book 3 in the series, I think it was. And this one is between Billy, who owns a bookstore. So she is kind of like the girliest and perkiest of her family. And it's in Bitterroot Valley, and it's been a lifelong dream to own this bookstore, and so now she finally is doing it. She's doing what she always wanted. And then we have Connor, who his younger sister actually moved to the area after she had some trouble in the city where she used to live and work, and so he now pops in to check on her a lot and is actually starting a business in the area as well, so he can be a support to his sister, as well as, I mean, he's a bit nosy and he realizes that Montana is a great place to put up his hotel that he wants to build. And so when Billy and Connor end up actually having a one-night stand in a different town, they then have this crazy connection with one another. And when he then sees her in town, I think at one of the like dance recitals that his sister's holding, she's like, oh shit, this is Skyla's older brother. And now I can't just leave him where he's supposed to stay in this city. He's here in my face wanting to date me and get his hands all up on me and everything. But absolutely love this couple. These two are just so precious. I love all the covers of Kristen Proby's books too. And yeah, he's the CEO of Gallagher Hotels, and he's not supposed to be staying in Montana, but once he's setting up that business there, he just doesn't know if he'll be able to look away. This book also has a tiny touch of suspense, so expect that to pop up. But overall, just a wonderful book and a wonderful series. Like, just love it so much. Okay, now we have a dark, this one is a cowboy romance, and it is dark. And this is Leather and Lies from Delilah Grant. I do have this one pulled up on my computer because I don't have a copy of this one. And this one is about this woman who her father kind of left her in a bit of a pickle. And so we have Shiloh, who ends up owing Jackson a lot of money. Her father owed him a lot of debt. But what she doesn't realize is that Jackson made sure her father owed a lot of this debt because he wanted to get his hands on her. And by kind of blackmailing her with this debt that her father owes is how he's going to get his hands on her and get her to be everything that he wants her to be. And so I said this book reminded me a lot of Sovereign by Rhea Morris Edwards, which is one of my favorite books from last year. So there is a lot of like BDSM and trying to get her to fulfill a specific role for him. But there also is how do we say this? There also is a lot of him wanting to take care and be in control of a lot of things. So it is very dark. It's complex relationships, BDSM involved, blackmailing her into some of the sexual situations and things. So yeah, there's a whole lot going on with this one to be aware of, some trigger warnings and stuff. But it also was a debut author when I read it, and I thought that they did a very good job for being a debut author. And so highly recommend you give that one a go. Okay, then we go to a couple oldies but goodies here that I have to share with you. We have Mile High by Liz Tomforty. This is, of course, the first book in the Windy City series. And this one was about Xander's and Stevie, and they meet when she is a flight attendant for him there. And she, of course, is not supposed to have any relationships with any of the players. This is a private plane for the Chicago hockey team. And the thing is that this new flight attendant, he really wants her in his bed. And there's no way that she's giving up this amazing job that she has to fuck this wealthy hockey player who's probably going to move on from her in 2.5 seconds. But the more she resists him, the more he wants her, and the more he just wants to get his hands all over that luscious girl. So this is technically a forbidden romance, because she could definitely lose her job if she fucked around with him. But, you know, he's going to make it very, very difficult for her to say no to him, shall we say. But this is a great one. I mean, I adore this whole series. I think that Liz Tomforty did such an amazing job with it. And that one is definitely a winner for sure. Though, of course, The Right Move is my favorite one. The Mile High is definitely a great place to start the series. I think that you'll love them all so much. Okay, then, and I actually do own a copy of this book, but it is in a box in my closet at the bottom of other boxes, so I didn't go and dig it out, but it was making me want to revisit it while I was putting together this list. And let me know if you guys have read this one, because it is a part of an older series that was a pretty popular series back in the day. But it technically was the first book in like a spin-off within the series. So you can just start with this book if you want to. But I'm just warning you that maybe you won't want to because that, but you should. Like, I'm just saying, you should. Okay? Okay, I said it. So this book is Night Play by Sherilyn Kenyon. All right? And this is a fated mates romance. It's a werehunter. He is a werehunter wolf. And he's a badass. So let me just read the blurb of this one, because again, it has been, oh girl, it has been probably 10 plus years since I read this one. I mean, definitely more than that, because wow, okay, I'm 32. So when I say 10 years ago, that makes me 22. I read this in high school. So 15 plus years ago is when I read it. Wow. Time comes, but I read this in high school. So this one says, Bride McTierney has had it with men. They are cheap, self-centered, and never love her for who she is. But though she prides herself on being independent, deep down she still yearns for a knight in shining armor. Okay? She just never expected her knight in shining armor to have a shiny fur coat instead. So deadly and tortured, we have Vane Cadillacus isn't what he seems. Most women lament that their boyfriends are dogs. In Bride's case, hers is a wolf, a werehunter wolf. Wanted dead by his enemies, Vane isn't looking for a mate, but the fates have marked Bride as his. Now he has 3 weeks to convince Bride that the supernatural is real, or he will spend the rest of his life neutered. That's right. Sometimes something no self-respecting wolf can accept. But how does a wolf convince a human to trust him with her life when his enemies are out to end his? In the world of werehunters, it really is a dog-eat-dog world, and only one alpha male can win. So this one is fantastic, okay? This book is fantastic. And what makes it so much fun is that I believe she owns like this clothing shop is what it is. And when he gets a sniff of her, let's be honest, he knows that this is his mate. And the way that it works in this world is that you must like mate with your mate after a certain amount of time, or else you're neutered. Your ding-a-ling's not going to work no more, okay? Because you're only meant to be with your mate. And I love paranormal romances with rules like that, okay? Right? Like within Cressley Cole, the vampires get like blooded, right? And their dick only works for their mate. Like, I love that shit, okay? I love that shit so much, okay? Like the demons have a seal where like they can fuck whoever they want, but they can only like ejaculate once it's there. Like, anyway, I'm sorry to make it go that way, but I love those type of rules. So this one, Vane finds his woman, and then he's got to make her his, you know. And Bride, she definitely is a tough one, but this definitely is a plus size girl too, which is great. And I remember loving this one so dearly because at that point in paranormal romances, I had never read someone who looked like me. And having read this one, like I said, when I was in high school, I remember it so clearly because I'd started with Fantasy Lover and I'd read the other books in the series. And when it got to Bride and Vane, not only was it now a werewolf, which we hadn't read like a werewolf yet in the series, I believe, because like I said, this is the first one in the Were Hunters, but that she was plus size. We had the same size clothes. She was beautiful and fashionable still. And she got a hot, hunky werewolf man. Of course, they were all 6'5" in these. And I was just absolutely enamored. So I wanted to bring this one, like I said, back into the plus size romances because I just think this one was so wonderful. And yeah. So yeah, Vane and Bride, I just love them so much. And yeah, I hope you'll give it a go. And like I said, you can just dive right into this one. It's totally fine. Okay, then one more with the real throwbacks. And this is one too where like the plus size is a bit more implied to it, right? Like I said, sometimes it's hard to pick it out, but I wanted to put in a historical, one of the older ones, where she was described as being more, you know, not the perfect size. She's a spinster, she's older, and she's also a virgin who hires someone to take her virginity. And we love to read that, okay? So we have Suddenly You by Lisa Kleypas. And she's described as like curvy and voluptuous in this one. And she's unmarried and untouched, and she's almost 30. Aghast, okay? And she's also a novelist, and her name is Amanda. So she didn't want to greet her next birthday without making love to a man. So when he appears at her door, she believed he was her gift to herself, hired for one night of passion. Unforgettably handsome, irresistibly virile, and he tempted her in ways she never thought possible. But something stopped him from completely fulfilling her dream. So Jack Devlin is determined to possess Amanda, and it became even greater when she discovered his true identity. But gently bred Amanda craved respectability more than she'd admit, and while Jack, the cast-off son of a nobleman of London's most notorious businessman, refused to live by society's rules. Sorry, there's a sticker in the way. Who does that? Yet, when fate conspired for them to marry, their worlds collided with a passionate force neither of them expected. Both soon caved. So yeah, this is one of like, she's hired someone to take her virginity, and I believe he just like makes her come the first time because he knows that it's mistaken identity, and though he wants her, he isn't willing to quite go all the way with that. But yeah, I love these two. This is a standalone from Lisa Kleypas, one you could definitely dive into. And at the time, it was called the most sensual romance of the year. There we go. Again, this picture of her doesn't really look like she is plus size, but she is kind of described that way in here. I also do want to mention, because this is historical and they didn't do that, there is a trigger warning for the loss of a pregnancy in here, okay? So I just want to warn you about that in this one, because when I first read this, it absolutely gutted me, and I just wasn't prepared for it, because again, there wasn't really trigger warnings in these back then. But love that one. Okay, then we have a bit of a darker fantasy one here. We have A Soul to Heal. Now, this was a special edition from, I believe this one was from, oh, they didn't write in here. Yeah, this was from Faded Romance. But I will show you the one cover, which you can tell that she's plus size on here. And this one is book 2 in the series. I do suggest you start with book 1 because this series builds upon itself. The lore builds upon itself. And this is a series from Opal Rain that you do want to read it in order, because even when in the new book it will backtrack and explain stuff to you, you kind of want to have seen it happen, because the finer details of what the Dustwalkers are and what they do is pretty intense. But in this one we have Delora, who she just wanted to disappear, and she ends up thrown into the Veil, which that's where the Dustwalkers are and all these demons and creatures that want to devour people are, for a crime that she committed. And she was discarded by the world. So she was afraid of her oncoming demise, but she accepts it because there's nothing else to do. What she didn't expect is that she would wake up from her deadly fall, which should have killed her. And by the way, it kind of basically does. But now there is a Dustwalker there who wants to help her and fall in love with her. And the thing is that he doesn't even have a name at the beginning of this. And so humans can be kept as companions, and he's only just discovered that. So he starts planning for the days for him to have a bride, which again, if you read book 1, you'll learn about this faceless Dustwalker, this nameless Dustwalker, and how much he yearns for a companion when he sees another Dustwalker who has a human companion who loves him and cares for him. And so when he finds this bride who is basically almost dead, he goes about creating enough humanity within himself, which again, you can find out how that happens when you read the book, how they can get more humanity and stuff. And he wants to find a way to make her love him. But he discovers that there's wounds about her, which are PTSD and trauma, that he can't just heal by healing the body. So this was very emotional, but I loved watching how, I don't know, the way that she tells the story is about how someone like rises up to humanity, and when they don't have it, they work on having it, and like some interesting ways they go about doing it. But Opal Rain writes very thought-provoking stories, and this whole series, like, I'm behind on this series now, I really am, because I just ran out of, like, they're big and they're intense. But I do want to catch up to the series one day because they are heavy, but so good at the same time. Okay, and then the last one I want to share is, of course, you know, the same way we need to have a S.J. Tilly, we got to have a Kayla Gross, because all of her heroines are plus size. And her heroes aren't necessarily the hunkiest guy around either. So this one is the Cowboys of Nighthawk, and this is Rein Me In. And in this one we have Blake Tanner, who she has come back to her hometown when her mom gets injured, and she also had a brother die in a tragic accident, a brother who was best friends with Gavin, and she hasn't been back home really since her brother had died. Now this is also, it was the older sister of her brother, and so Gavin is actually her younger brother's friend. Now Gavin's family is dealing with a lot. He has a failing family business, and he has a little brother who has drinking problems, and he had a dad who died a few months ago. And so Gavin has had to step in and take care of a lot of things. But he can't help like this attraction that he's always had for Blake. And now she's not necessarily planning to stay around that long. She's there to help with her mother's like injury, and then is planning to move on. But during the time that she's there, there are a lot of feelings that they have to face and a lot of things they need to talk through that had to do with how things went down with her brother. But yeah, this is beautiful. I also really like that, like, our heroine, she actually used to, I think she used to be a barrel racer, was this heroine? But she definitely, like, there's a scene where she rides the mechanic bull in here that's super hot. But yeah, she's great. This is like a regular bodied character. Like, I love that about her. And I think Kayla Gross just does such a good job with her heroine. She has plus size heroines kind of like all size, for more mid-size all the way to, you know, like big girls. And I just love that. So she's a great author in general to read everything by her. The same with the S.J. Tilly. I'm pretty sure all of her heroines are plus size too. So those are some great authors in general. So anyway, there you go. Those are 10 romances with plus size heroines. Let me know what recommendations you guys have. Although again, I do have 2 other videos with them as well. So definitely check those ones out. And Himani, I hope these are some recs that you'll enjoy. And again, they all have an HEA, so you don't have anything to worry about in that regard. And we'll see you next time. Bye.